The Amputator is the pogo stick of melee weapons, as in, it's fun to use, but you're really not going anywhere with it. Much like the Scottish Resistance and arguably the Cozy Camper, the Amputator is by no means bad. It's just one of those weapons that's designed for a style of play nobody bothers with. It's mediocre at best, really. I mean, how many times have you actually seen someone use the cure for the broken ankle? Maybe 3 or 4 times in casual at best, and even less in competitive. Even though, funnily enough, it's allowed everywhere, except for UGC, but then again, UGC bans everything, so that's not a shock. In the end, though, there's only one thing this saw really is, and that's just an Amputator. For those of you who have already long forgotten the Amputator, its story is a little tragic. At the beginning, when it was released in the Medieval Mode update, it was basically a stock reskin with the added ability to heal while taunting. Naturally, it was first up on the chopping block for a stat slice, and since then it's been as disappointing as Voldemort's sunglasses. It's a bone saw that lets you regenerate health 3 points faster than your typical medic while active. On top of that, taunting with the Amputator heals anyone within a normal metagun healing distance, all at the low price of 20% less damage, haha. Okay, I know it doesn't sound like much, but that 20% less damage hurts. Like, not as in hurts him, but hurts me. Because now it takes 3 hits to do what the Ubersaw does in 2, which means that you could be trying to amputate the French out of some spy sneaking up behind everybody, and by the time you've managed to kill him, you will have murdered half your team and teabagged a sentry. The weirdest part is that over maybe a span of 5 seconds, the combination of the Ubersaw's swing speed and the Amputator's damage penalty cancel each other out and really only make a difference of maybe 15 points of damage. Much like Heath Ledger, it's the extra hit that makes it a problem. Plus, the more you have to hit someone, the more likely you are to miss anyway. Now, there's 2 ways the Amputator can be used. The first one being just as a health booster. This is the player who relies on it to recover faster and regenerate health at a much faster rate. This is obviously the weaker method of using the Amputator, given that the Tough Break update made it so that anything that regenerates health has to ramp up too. So while you may think you're getting an extra IV drip of 3 points to your regen consistently, you're instead getting only 1 from the start, which eventually builds up to 3. Now, don't get me wrong, the max regen rate of 9 health per second is healthcare that not even Obama can top, but regardless, it still takes a little while to get there. This means that the Amputator canceling out Afterburn is officially a myth. Worse still, in order to have this healing effect, you have to put your metagun away and whip it out in order to get that boost in the first place. God, that phrase is gonna be the death of me, I just know it. But it's all okay, because you know what? That's just the Amputator. The second way it's used is pretty much Dispenser Simulator 2016, just moving to a corner and taunting. Real high-octane meta gameplay coming at you. This technique obviously works best when your team is holed up and bleeding out, but the problem is you're completely helpless for 4 seconds while you quite literally play the musical saw. Not only that, but I think the little effect in the music kinda attracts enemies in the same way a heavy eating a sandwich does. This is basically a turtling medic kind of playstyle, one much more focused on helping everyone else recover faster without having to retreat. Now, this might help in larger matches, but as far as sixes or maybe even Highlander goes, this playstyle is way too slow. Nobody has time to sit and taunt, because the amount of things that can happen in 4 seconds would blow you away. Just ask Array's girlfriend, she can tell you. If anything, the Amputator is for the medics who don't like to micromanage, because with the skillful combination of crossbow and healing, you could probably get a group of people to higher health faster than the Amputator could. And don't forget, it is still crippled by crit heal rates, and the uber build you get from the taunt is just plain laughable. On top of that, you're only actually healing for maybe 2.5 seconds at most, because until that little tune is being played, nobody is getting anything. You're just standing around doing nothing. Of course, there's also the problem with grouping up. If a medic is sitting in a corner taunting and anyone who wants to heal has to huddle up for warmth amongst each other, that's something that a pair of surprise stickies would love to get their dirty hands on. What puzzles me the most is that after spending a good amount of time legitimately trying to use the Amputator, it's actually had its moments. There have been a few times where healing a handful of people at the same time comes in handy, particularly in King of the Hill and Payload. You can kind of cheat it by positioning yourself in front of the cart and heal while it's being pushed. helpful, but you being the horde ornament means that you're the first to know when it rains, or much more likely hails pain and bullets. It's also useful to make the team recover quicker after taking the hill, something that can at least give everyone health they need before actually going in and buffing everybody repeatedly. At the risk of sounding old though, I miss the original Amputator. You know, the straight upgrade one Valve destroyed like John Goodman's toilet. It was just a regular bone saw that when you taunted, healed people. That by itself would have been great. The cost of not using the Vita or Uber Saw combined with having to stand still to use that taunt would more than make up for its lack of negative attributes. It was one of those weapons that was technically an upgrade, but realistically it was not by any means. So the bottom line is the Amputator is a discount Lucio, and the playstyle it represents is viable but just doesn't reflect the reality of a good medic, which is why I say this weapon is mediocre at best. It's surely no overdose, but among the uses it has, there's also a bitter bucket of bad that comes with it. Frankly, I feel most people are overestimating the effectiveness of this whole taunt to heal thing. We might as well have it so high-fiving a medic refills all your health for all the good it would do. The only real improvements that could be made is maybe getting rid of the dreaded term while active and just maybe making it so you could stay taunting until you cancel it. Given those two, it might very well make it something you'd see more often. The Amputator is, in principle, a cute idea, but in the end it's got more problems than a Chinese math book. But that's okay, because it's just the Amputator.
I'm the invincible, undefeated champion. Mount Zion's my ancestors, Camp of Lions. Star of David, nah, the thought of stardom. Martyrdom and done crumbs left to the dumb thumb. To this play button, glutton of words. Mutton, birds of fly to plot to you, dropping turds. Hopping up on ignorance to feel how your body pop up the real. Dance the visual cry to deity. Pious piety might it be, to see is truly to be me. I see everything there is, so I'm